Welcome into DNVR Buffs Postgame, presented by the Colorado XOs. I'm Henry Chisholm. I'm here, as always, with Ryan Koenigsberg, Ben Gerding. Before we jump into the game, though, just want to say, what happened in Boulder today is just awful. And, it's honestly just hard to wrap your brain around everything that happened up there today. And so just to start things off, just want to say that we are thinking of everybody who was involved in any way, whether people were in the store, have friends or family who were, or the first responders who got up there and went in and did what they could to save people. Just a tough day, and now that that's out of the way, we can talk about some basketball.
Which was also tough.
Also tough there as well. Also tough there as well. That's the end of the season for Colorado as they fall to Florida State. Just an ugly game, and let's just jump in with the biggest takeaways. What'd you guys see out there?
I mean, Florida State did a really great job. They took away a lot of what the Buffs love to do. We knew going into the game that the pick and roll wasn't going to be there because they switch everything. And they have the guys to be able to do that. And they did a really good job of it. But, I said to you guys before the game, you're like, how do you feel? I'm like, feel fine. You make shots, you win. You don't, you lose. And they didn't. No one had it going, quite literally no one. You couldn't get anything from Jabari, which that's okay. He earned his free pass after last game. You couldn't get anything from Jariah Horn. That one hurts a little bit more because after being great all season, he disappeared for the three biggest games of the season. But again, it's not his fault. Just the shot, you can't. It's not like you can want the shots to go in more. And in fact, sometimes the more you want them to go in, the more they don't go in. Deshaun Schwartz, pretty good. He did his X Factor thing.
He did.
The problem is whatever the opposite of an X Factor is, where you just expect it. The McKinley Wrights. Like I said after the second game of the Pac-12 tournament, Jariah Horn's not in the X Factor category anymore. He's in the I need 12 to 14 from you. Well, he didn't give you anything close to that. So, unfortunately for the Buffs, they had to make shots to win, shots. And none of them had their jumpers going except for maybe Deshaun and Keyshawn.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, honestly, I'm having trouble putting into words, not necessarily the disappointment, more so just it's tough. It was a tough game. It felt weird all day. And, it had reminiscences of the Pac-12 championship game, just in the sense that whenever Colorado really built something, whenever they ran on a little bit of a run, they had a couple shots start to fall, and they think they're going to get into it, all of a sudden, the other team responds, and they respond with a 6-0 run of their own. And just like that, you're taking one step forward and two steps back offensively. So that's tough. Ryan, I mean, you touched on it. The guys that you needed to hit shots, that you normally count on hitting shots, just weren't there. They were intimidated, and maybe intimidation is the wrong word, but Florida State's size was apparent. Their length, I mean, they said it on the broadcast. Their average height in that lineup is 6'8". So you're not going to have the same passing lanes that you're used to. Mckinley Wright is going to run into problems in the paint. Now, Mckinley Wright also got mugged a couple times trying to get to the rim. And, the refs just didn't allow them to get in a good pace in that first half. And that didn't help anything either. And that goes both ways. It was just a very choppy flow in the entirety of the first half. And that's disappointing. But I said it after the game on Saturday, and I stand by it. This season was still a complete success. This is still the best team I think I've ever seen from, not just from Colorado, but quite frankly, one of the best college basketball teams I've become invested in and watched or covered. You just see their heart, you see their dedication, you see how much this game means to them. And so while, it is disappointing and it would have been great for them to make it to the Sweet 16, do something that they haven't been able to do before, we still need to remember that, these are just kids out there, and they're playing hard. They're playing with their hearts on their sleeves, and that's something incredibly admirable.
Well, yeah. And speaking of that, some idiot somewhere is going to say, don't make excuses, but, we're all affected by what happened in Boulder today. Who's to say these guys weren't doom scrolling on their phones before the game? My mood was impacted. Everyone else here's mood was impacted. You could feel it in the bar. You know, people wanted to come down here and get their distraction. The energy wasn't there here.
Yeah.
How could you blame them if their, you know, emotions were a little screwed up by what happened today? Like that. In fact, it would be honestly weird if they weren't.
Yeah.
And so it's not an excuse per se. It's just another really shitty part of what happened today. And it's not even close to the shittiest part. But, you know, it's a thing that is very real. You know, they are kids. They're humans. They're people. Like, knowing what that happened in your home, or at least where you've called home for the last 1 to 4 years, can really affect you mentally. And like I said, it's a huge aside to, you know, in terms of the actual impact of what happened today. And it's just another shitty thing.
Yeah, I mean, also those guys being like, I was texting family in Boulder. People were asking where other people were, if they were okay. Like,
Yeah,
no matter what, before the game, people were either texting them or they were checking in on their friends and their family and whoever that they know is there to make sure they were okay. Like, Ben and I came in here at 1 o'clock, or we were here at the bar at noon. We were so hyped. We were excited. We were like, oh, we got to bring the energy tonight. And then before the game started, like, you really, really felt that energy of just like, wow, this just happened, and how could you not? Like, I agree. It's not an excuse. Like,
I didn't even get, like, the pregame, like, adrenaline.
no.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't, like, hype or, like, excited. My heart wasn't racing. Like,
Well, especially
You're
because
just
more
sitting-
things were happening in Boulder.
Yep.
We weren't sure if the situation was over. Like, they put their phones away and started getting in the locker room not knowing if this was still going on or what was happening or if things were going to be a lot worse.
I mean, the situation, you know, and this isn't, you know, this isn't us on our soapboxes or anything like that. But when something like this happens, you know, kind of in your own backyard, you start to think about not just, you know, what happened and the tragedy that is, but you also think and start to analyze aspects of your day-to-day and how that affects you. And look, you know, this place it's 2 blocks from campus. It's 2 blocks south from my apartment building. And an hour later, it comes out that there's another shooter by Boulder High School, which is right by, you know, north of the rec center, and classes get closed or, you know, canceled for the rest of the night. And it's just it's a terrible situation, and it causes a lot of people to think, even if you don't know anybody directly involved, it is just one of those things that it's going to stick with you for a bit. And so, again, it's a huge kind of footnote. You know, the basketball game is a huge footnote to what's going on today. But, you know, there is just kind of that, which personally I think it makes this loss kind of a little easier to digest, just in the sense that, you know, there are bigger things than basketball. And it's great for these guys to have put together such a great season. And it's going to be nice for them to come home. And I mentioned to Allie, because I saw McKinley Wright, and he looked so tired. And I'm just sitting there like, God, it was right after he took a charge. It's like, this man must be so tired. And to just go home after this, and now for him to be able to take a couple days off before he starts training for the NBA and just take a deep breath. I feel happy for him in that sense, that he can finally exhale and say, Colorado, I've given you everything.
I said this last week, and I just tweeted out, like, no matter what, this team was special. They gave us so many incredible memories, and they're going to be remembered for a long time and forever. And I can't wait to get back to the CU Event Center and give these seniors who are graduating the standing ovation that they deserve, because we'll always remember these moments. We'll remember these post games. We'll remember that incredible win over Georgetown. Of course, it ended in this way, but this season was so much more than just this game.
Yeah, and as a fan, like, first of all, as a fan of Colorado basketball, or honestly most teams and most sports, you aren't going to win the championship, right? So what you hope for is, like, moments that you remember and exciting things that happened and players that you love and, you know, just legacies. And this team has a lot of that. I mean, obviously McKinley Wright will go down as one of the best Colorado basketball players of all time. But on top of that, like, Deshaun's tip dunk in the semis of the Pac-12 tournament, like, that lives on forever. The game against Georgetown is, like, the single best performance by a Colorado team in the tournament ever.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, it sucks. What really sucks is this game retroactively makes losing the Pac-12 tournament hurt a lot more.
Yeah.
It does.
Because as we said that night, you make the Sweet 16, all is forgiven. But what sucks is similar problems that came up for them in that game came up for them in this game, which was playing tight, playing unsure, guys not wanting to shoot their open shots, not making their open shots when they do shoot them. That's a lot of the stuff that plagued them in that Pac-12 tournament game. And again, from then on out, you always knew, like, okay, well, they're going to have opportunities to erase this. And again, while the Georgetown game was so exciting and I'll never forget it, they didn't really erase it. And now you look back and say, like, well, what does this team have to show for this great season that we all agree was great? And it's unfortunately very little.
That is the tough part, is that there's nothing that you hang up in the arena. Because do they actually hang tournament appearances there?
They might have tournament appearances.
Okay.
Yes.
I know Montana does, but the standards are a little bit different there.
No, I don't know. Maybe there are like banners with years on them.
I still think there's a lot to be shown for this season, honestly.
Huh.
I mean, I think of it as this was the stupidest season of our lives. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the worst pandemic of my lifetime. I can't speak for either of you. But
So far.
So far, yeah. Knock on wood. No,
Yeah, let's all touch wood, please.
Are you trying to make a joke?
no. What I'm saying is,
He was trying to call you guys old.
No, what I'm saying is the fact that you deserve this. You deserve this.
I deserve what?
I have been a staunch believer that we should have been upstairs in the studio watching all of these games.
The last one we were downstairs.
Yeah.
We got lucky, Ryan.
You got lucky. We're 1-2 now in games downstairs.
No, we're at least 2-2.
Look, that's besides the point. What I was going to say is there is still a lot to hang up in this. I mean, you made the NCAA tournament in a pandemic. You did it against all odds. You got in a basketball season. You got in all of your games. Mckinley Wright cemented himself as one of the most, if not the most, accomplished player as far as statistics go and conference history. I mean, there is still a lot to hang your hat on. So while I understand fans saying, there's nothing to come of it, there's nothing to show for the season. You didn't win the Pac-12 championship. You didn't make the Sweet 16. Well, you went on a hell of a run. You had a lot of good win streaks. You won a game in the tournament. You had a great Pac-12 tournament. And like you said, tons of great memories. Everyone, I think, is going to remember where they were for that Deshaun Schwartz putback dunk. That moment where Mckinley Wright points into the crowd to find his dad in the tournament. The moment that McKinley Wright hugs Tad Boyle as he exits the floor at the Coors Event Center one last time. I mean, these are these moments that you can hang your hat on and say this season was not just a success, but it was memorable, it was fantastic. And that, combined with the fact that they blew expectations out of the water. This was a team picked to finish 7th. This is a team that got no national recognition. Just this morning, talking about all the Pac-12 teams in the tournament, Colorado's name didn't even come up.
Yep.
So with everybody doubting you all season long, you still went out there and you were one of the best teams in your conference. And you competed so hard until the end in the tournament. I think there's still tons to hang your hat on.
There's a lot to hang your hat on, and I agree with everything you said. What I'm saying by you don't have anything to show for it is like quite literally.
Yeah.
You don't have anything to show for. Like, like Hank said, maybe there's a year on a banner of NCAA tournament.
Is.
But like, you don't have a Pac-12 championship ring. You don't have a Sweet 16 appearance. And I'm not trying to knock the team. I'm just saying it sucks that this awesome team that we all love so much doesn't really have anything to show for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just look at it as you win the Pac-12 championship. 10 years from now, there's a reunion. 25 years from now, there's a reunion. You make a run, and it is just too bad that there isn't one little thing that you get to put next to this team that says, here's how good they were. You get the NCAA tournament appearance, and that should not be like...
And a win, which has only happened one other time in the Tad Boyle era.
For sure. And those are definitely great things to happen. They're capable of more, though.
They were capable of more. But here's the other thing is the tournament is always about matchups. And let's not lose sight of the fact that they lost to a higher-seeded team.
True.
It's not like they got upset like they did in the Pac-12 championship. They lost to a higher-seeded team in Florida State who was very clearly very talented and very good. Now, again, if you shoot well, we could be telling a whole different story tonight. You definitely could have shot your way past that team.
Yep.
Because they were not potent offensively like we knew they weren't. But didn't have it. You lost to a team who the committee says is better. And I think maybe 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 nights, they probably are better than you. So it's frustrating. It's disappointing. But there is, like, again, there's a lot to hang your hat on here. It's a building block season, I think. You already have a really good recruiting class coming in next year. If you can follow that up with another good recruiting class, which will be a reflection of what you did this year, you know, the kids who were watching the NCAA tournament on whatever Saturday morning, that was Saturday morning, you know, and took notice of Colorado and know about McKinley Wright and, you know, want to follow in his footsteps at Colorado, well, then you're going to be back here because, you know, one of the things that I think you learned in this game is that Colorado needs to recruit a little better. You know, you got to get bigger and more athletic and stronger.
And they are. Because
those are the teams, you know, look at the two teams who really kind of had their way with them this year. It was Tennessee and it was Florida State. And the what they really had on you was length and athleticism. It's just the one thing that all along this team hasn't been great with. You're going to get a little longer by default when McKinley Wright comes off the floor. I don't know if that's a positive, but
silver lining.
Yeah, I mean, Keyshawn had a little bit of a coming to over the last week and a half, so that's exciting. But if you're going to compete at the highest level with teams like that, you are going to need to get a little bit longer, a little bit more athletic.
And I do think that it is important that we give props to Florida State because that length really does cause problems. As much as it was Colorado not doing what they could have, those passing lanes weren't just there. And for as much as I really like the way this basketball team plays, they do have a tendency to try to create offense just by passing the ball and not so much moving themselves or moving that kind of stuff. And when you do that against a team with that much length, those passing lanes just aren't always there, and you see so many tip passes and stuff that doesn't go through, and then you get stuck under the basket because they're able to just reach up above you, and you have to pass it right back. How many times are there possessions where Kin drives into the lane, gets stuck on a basket, throws it up to the top of the key, Deshaun drives into the middle, gets to the exact same spot, chucks it back out, a third guy goes, and it's just, they just didn't have anything that they could go to and then build off of, to counter off of, and create some semblance of offense, and I think Florida State deserves a whole lot of credit for the defense that they played.
Absolutely.
McKinley Wright in his post-game press conference was saying, I'm sorry to the fans, I'm sorry to everyone.
I read his lips, and that's what he said to Tad when he walked off the floor, and I'm sure what Tad told him is what I'll tell him. You have nothing to be sorry for. It's not, you know, it wasn't a lack of want to for McKinley Wright tonight. It wasn't a lack of anything. It was a tough matchup for him. He has nothing to apologize for. He should be saying you're welcome for everything that he did for Colorado basketball and the university and the fans.
And with that, I want to bring up a graphic that we made.
Oh, look at that.
There they are.
1,847 points, 682 assists, 640 rebounds. Your 3-time All Pac-12, first-team All-Conference, 84 career wins, including a lot in the postseason. I mean,
it's a hell of a career. It was honestly a hell of a career, and thankful we got to watch it almost every step of the way. So he has nothing, absolutely nothing to apologize for.
Yep.
Seeing how he's grown from his freshman year, you know, to now, seeing how he's competed, it's been a blessing. But, you know, Henry, just to kind of go back to what you said too, I mean, you're absolutely right. Their offense, how they got stifled tonight, was exactly what happened in December. And, you know, to me, I think that's a little frustrating just because, I mean, you got to imagine that they would have known and seen the similarities between this Florida State team and that Tennessee team and been able to draw up some solutions defensively because the exact same things happened. There was no off-ball movement. It was a lot on the shoulders of the guards to try and drive into where they're outmatched. And McKinley Wright, he probably should have gone to the line a couple more times. But a couple more times wouldn't have changed anything.
No.
And that's the problem is it just wasn't enough. They just did not have a good offensive game plan.
For the Buffs to win, they needed Kin to drop 25 efficiently while being guarded by a player who is 5 inches taller than him and was able to handle his quickness.
Yeah.
And when that's the case, it's just not going to work out.
Yep.
Let's see. Peter Plummer says, my biggest positive takeaway is I feel a lot... Okay, I can't read the second half.
It
I'm a
says-
lot more confident with Keyshawn at point guard going into next season than I did a month ago. Kid isn't afraid of the moment.
Yep. I think that's a great point. And some of what he did tonight, I'm not sure if it's totally replicable. There were some difficult shots that went down for him. Props for those. But he played within himself a lot better than he did early in this season. Like if you were to go back and watch his first minutes of the year, I think you would be pretty shocked to see how well he played tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it started really in that USC game when McKinley Wright had to leave and he really came in. And, we talk about Tristan Silva in that Arizona game way back when, and that was his kind of wake-up call. This was Keyshawn Bartholomew in that USC game. He's put together some very strong minutes the last 4 games. And the other thing to note, too, is he's doing this without being necessarily warm. To come off the bench and do this in just like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes a game, that's incredibly difficult because this isn't a guy who's coming in right after warming up. He goes back to the bench and sits down and cools off for 10 minutes. So for him to do that as a spark plug, it's going to be exciting because next season, it's pretty much time to give him the keys to the offense. I mean, you don't really have anybody else that's going to take that role. And, looking into next year, this lineup, along with this recruiting class, I think you feel great across the board. Jabari Walker and Keyshawn Bartholomew are going to step into the starting lineups. And so your starting lineup next year is probably going to look Keyshawn, Eli. Your 3 spot is kind of up for grabs, but then you've got Jabari and Evan Batty. And so, I mean, is there anybody else that kind of jumps to mind?
I think I would look for them to add a transfer.
Yeah.
Especially at point guard.
In some way, shape, or form, and probably at the guard position.
Marcus Carr's available.
They were saying on the broadcast against Georgetown that Jariah Horn is Tad's first grad transfer.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
So interesting.
I believe it.
Well, I assume Tad enjoyed that experience, the grad transfer experience. So I would expect for him to mine that market or look for a transfer in some other way at guard. And then, again, you mentioned the 3. I don't know what they're going to do there, but I don't know if they have the scholarships, but that's another place where, you might look to add.
And that's where it's going to be interesting to see how many of these seniors come back and kind of exercise that eligibility because guys right now you've got Deshaun Schwartz, Jariah Horn, Dallas Walton. They're all guys that their decision, I can't project because I could say something, but it would be with, my own baggage of what I would do in that situation. Because if I were any of them, I'd stay because this is kind of, you got a chance to really put something together, something special together for next season. But absolutely, the transfer market should be big this year. And especially you got talent, like a lot of top-end talent. Since Colorado, you've shown what you can do with McKinley Wright. You've shown what you can do with a star. It's not unquestionable to think that they can bring in another guy like that who's leaving.
So we have someone here in the comments saying that Kin just said he's been playing through a sprained AC joint for the last 2 months, and he's been getting a shot before every game. He's always been a warrior.
What an absolute warrior. I mean, he played through a brutal shoulder injury once before. And that's I think that was kind of like when Colorado fans truly fell in love with just the heart that he brings to the court. So it doesn't surprise me at all, but it's just another aspect of his legacy that really make him a really, really special player and one that we were lucky to have in Boulder.
I mean, a sprained AC joint, that's no joke.
No, that's like that's what Drew Lock missed multiple weeks with this year. So
it's a good way to put it in perspective.
And weirdly enough,
throwing shoulder.
In basketball, that's even like unless it was his left. I don't know
but
which
even
side
still
it was.
Rebounding. That's just.
But I mean, Drew Lock wasn't doing anything with that left shoulder. Like Kin is finishing some layups with his left hand at the very least.
That's what I mean. Like like you said, reaching up for rebounds. Like the whole thing is like that injury makes it really hard to put your shoulder up. So
I mean, even
paying
just,
through a lot of
shooting.
pain. Yeah, exactly.
Dear God.
He has always been a Warrior his whole career.
Yep.
That's why he has nothing to apologize about.
No.
Let's take a quick break, and while we do that, if you're watching on Periscope, please go watch on YouTube, and while you're there, like and subscribe to DNVR, or like this video, subscribe to DNVR. We really appreciate that. Also, if you have any questions, thoughts, leave them in the chat, and we'll get to all those later on in the show. Also, if you become a member at DNVR, then you get a whole bunch of awesome things. You get access to all the written content at thednvr.com. You get access to the members-only Discord, where there's like 20 different channels, one for each of the sports teams. There's a bunch of other cool stuff like movies and TV and all that. It's a cool place to hang out with a whole bunch of really good people. And yeah, there's plenty of other reasons too, but there are some awesome deals right now. If you sign up for a 1-year subscription, then you will get yourself not just the full year subscription, but also a free t-shirt, a free mask, and a holistic stick that was basically like a CBD thing. You stir it around in your drink, and it helps you to recover from different things. So I'm struggling to find the code for that one.
I think we agreed that it was DNVR 30.
Yeah, because we did this last time.
DNVR 30.
There's no
you did
tab
the
on here for
same
this
exact thing last time. Eric also wants you to remember that or mention that there are shirts.
one. Shirts.
That's part of the benefits of being a member.
Yes.
You get when you become a member.
Which I said. But also, you get discounted stuff from the DNVR Locker every week.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, but when you sign up for an annual membership,
You get shirt and a mask.
shirt,
I said that.
a mask,
I did.
and the holistic stick.
Yeah.
Eric doesn't think you did.
Well, Eric is not paying attention then, because I absolutely did.
He just said he did in the comments.
Yeah.
Then why did he say shirts?
I don't know.
I
He's
don't
just
know.
Trying to lighten the
Eric just wants to derail a Buff show. Who's surprised?
It's honestly automatically derailed every time you try to do an ad read.
Only when we have to do that one, because there isn't a tab on here. Everything else is a little tab, and it just
You should
pops
be
up.
prepared for that.
I know, but I never remember there's no tab.
Anyways, move on.
I do that one every day. Breckenridge Brewery, another great partner of ours. We are really in love with their seltzers at the moment. Obviously, all the beers are really good too. We drink a lot of those. But the honeydew seltzer is Ryan's favorite. I like the peach. So many good ones. Get on the Breckenridge Brewery website, check out the beer locator, and that will tell you exactly where you can go to pick up whatever you want to try from Breckenridge Brewery. And again, we cannot recommend their products enough. The tournament is in full swing, and the action hasn't disappointed, unless you're a Buffs fan. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of the action. If you bet $1 on any tournament game and your team wins, you win $100. It's that simple. Turning $1 into $100 is 100-to-1 odds. Pick any college basketball team that's still in the hunt for your shot at winning $100. All it takes is a $1 bet and that team winning their game. There you go. We're going to skip ahead.
Thanks for the little part about how turning $1 into $100 is 100-to-1 odds.
I just think that it's important that the people know.
Thank you for that.
Yep. There are so many other things you can bet on. There's a UFC 260 this weekend. A bunch of people beating each other up. I feel like that's a good way for us. I feel like I
could use that right
Exactly.
now.
I don't know if watching is going to do it for me, though. I might need to actually go.
I could definitely use a Breck Brew.
That's true.
I could too.
That's true.
We might have to go have like a commiseration beer after this.
Can
been
we?
a long day.
Should we put a little pause in the show and come back in like 20 minutes?
No, that's
Okay.
not what we're gonna do.
Okay. Good idea. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code DNVR when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 if the college basketball team of your choosing pulls off the win. That's code DNVR to turn $1 into $100 for a limited time. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. All right. Wait. Yep. All right. Just I'm not gonna screw these ads up any more than I already have. Let's keep talking.
I'm gonna take the over on he does.
Well,
I
there's
will
only
too.
one left, so
You got this.
Hassel Cattle Company, coming up in like 15 minutes. So be ready.
Be prepared for that one. One thing, I didn't think this was Tad's best work tonight. But again, it's completely understandable to if he was off his game mentally.
Absolutely. Is there
I was just befuddled by a couple of the decisions that he made.
Is there one in particular?
Yeah, I mean, they've held that we're into the second half. They've held them to 28 points in the game at the moment. And he went to the zone, which is so funny that this is what I'm criticizing for him because Tad Boyle has literally said that zone is a 4-letter word to him.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't like zone. But he went to the zone when they were down.
What is
28-25?
Really?
Yep.
So they were down 3. They had just cut it to 3. And Tad goes to the zone, and they give up 3 straight buckets at least. And they stayed with it. And I was just scratching my head being like, but why? Like, what you were doing was working. I'm all for the idea of, like, throwing something new at them to try and break their rhythm, but they didn't have a rhythm.
The rhythm was broken.
Exactly.
You gave them a rhythm.
It was never there.
Yes.
So that actually did give them a rhythm. I thought they were a much better offensive team from there on out, and I just keep, like, being, why? That was the one that really hurt for me. You probably could have said that he stayed away from Kin too long after the third foul, but the Buffs were fine in those minutes, so that's not too much. I thought some of the rotations were questionable, but in the end, it's just that zone for, I think they went for 5 possessions, which again, after they scored on the first one, I was like, okay, he's definitely not going back to that. Second one, okay, he's definitely not going back to that. Third, I was like, what is going on? Like, I was honestly looking around trying to figure out, like, is someone hurt? Like, what are we? The only thing I think I would guess, I don't know if he talked about this after the game, is they were in big man trouble. So they didn't want to go man-to-man with, like, I don't know who was out there, but I'll just say Jariah Horn against their 7-footer, which I guess is a decent reason to go to it. But again, it was a 3-point game. You didn't need to go to it there.
Yeah. And things did change at that point for the rest of the game. Like, that really was what sparked everything. And I don't like it. I just, it's a very confusing decision to me. Ben, do you have any thoughts?
I think Allie's got something to bring up that's going to make me cry, but...
It's so sad.
Good. We love when Ben cries.
Jariah Horn and McKinley Wright are still out here. Tweeted from, hold on, I have to share the screen. And you see a picture of them mid-court. No matter how tired McKinley Wright was, they didn't want to go home like this.
Ugh.
God.
What a difference, 2 days makes. On Saturday, we're bringing up the picture, him pointing to the crowd, pointing out his dad, and they're having the time of their lives. And it's just, I think that's almost the beauty of college basketball, to know that your days are numbered and that there's really a clock on this thing. And granted, there's obviously a clock on a pro career too, but there's nothing like college sports. It means so much more to wear these colors and to go out there and compete with these guys that you've been growing up with. And so that's, that picture just kind of captures it all, where those are 2 guys that I think know their playing days are done, but kind of want one last, second, one last moment to just be out there on a college court, especially for a guy like Ken, who's been spending 4 years just desperately trying to make it to that stage.
Yeah, it's right. It's the exhilaration of victory and the pain of defeat. Like, we got the best part of it on Saturday. We got the worst part of it today. Dude's a warrior. He quite literally left it all on the court. Still on the court, It's tough, but he's going to go on to have a great rest of his basketball career. He'll be a great ambassador for Colorado basketball forever. That's one thing I think Tad Boyle, it's a really big reflection on just the type of atmosphere he creates at Colorado. every single guy who's come through here from, Andre Robertson to Spencer Dinwiddie to George King, like all these guys, you see them out there trying to support this team as much as they can. McKinley will be no different as he goes on to have a great professional basketball career.
Yeah. I feel like there needs to be like a mural of Kin and Tad somewhere.
There needs to be.
I support that.
There needs to be something for this team. I mean, this team was special, and there definitely needs to be something for Kin. I mean, this is.
I've got some McKinley quotes if you guys want to hear them.
Let's do it. Pull on my heartstrings.
So McKinley Wright says, "I'm sorry. I gave Colorado everything I had in me. I didn't play one healthy year at CU. I'm sorry. I gave it all I had." He then says that it was on the same shoulder he tore his labrum. There we go. A few years ago, where he had the AC joint issues. Then he said, McKinley Wright, through tears once again, just found out 2 weeks ago, Tad Boyle texts my mom after every game. He means more than I can put into words. That's my guy. I can't wait to watch him lead these young guys.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Let's
And again, not to make everything about recruiting, but someone's mom is going to hear about that.
Yeah.
And they're going to want their son to play for Tad Boyle.
It's true.
Christ, I mean, I want to go play for Tad Boyle right now. I want to go give him a hug.
One more from McKinley Wright through tears. He said, quote, I gave this university everything I had for 4 years. I tried to win as many games as possible. I'm so thankful for Colorado for welcoming me. This university changed my life. I didn't go home to try and avoid trouble. My teammates were my brothers.
So awesome. Special player.
Yep. Let's take a break.
Big moment for you.
Don't mess it up.
I know. See,
It's already off to a really bad
I
start.
know. Well, it's just so frustrating
But
when
let me just, next time before you say let's take a break.
do this part. I know,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what I was saying.
Also,
but,
don't say let's take a break.
But then how will I have time to do to find
Do
what
it
I'm
while
saying?
Allie's talking.
Well, but see, it's the break in the conversation that triggers. It's like, oh, what timing? You know?
Has this already
I
gone
think
down?
I got
It's
the
probably a
over.
time.
I
Yeah.
think if I overhit.
Yeah, it did.
Next season, you better watch out.
I want you to prove me wrong, Henry.
We brought you damn good beer, and now we're delivering to you damn good beef. Hassel Cattle Company is the absolute best source for farm-to-table Wagyu beef in the country. Hassel Cattle Company is a fourth-generation cattle farm out of Texas, and they ship all over the beautiful USA and straight to your door. They call their beef the blue-collar Wagyu. Why? Because it's the best damn Wagyu that every man or woman can afford. Hassel Cattle Company offers Wagyu smoked sausage, New York strip, beef bacon, Wagyu Frank without any fillers, 2 jerky flavors, and their hamburger won Food Network's Northeast Burger Jam. Not only do we love their beef, the country loves their beef. These guys take their registered bulls, they breed them with Angus cows, and that creates a very high prime product that is grown with 0 antibiotics and hormones. You can check out all of this at HassellCattleCompany.com. That's HASSELL cattlecompany.com. And if you use the promo code DNVR10 when you check out, you can get 10% off your order. That's DNVR10 for 10% off any orders over $200, and you receive free shipping. Check them out. We promise you won't be disappointed.
I mean, that's Wagyu. That's
Wagyu.
Angus fed
Wagyu
beef.
There you go.
This probably isn't the time. I want to defend how I used to say that word.
You're right. It isn't the time.
Wagyu. Wagyu.
That is just regional. I was not saying it wrong. I was just not saying it like a Coloradoan. Which one's right?
Coloradan.
That's what I thought.
Don't
Really,
get it
it's,
wrong.
here's the thing, though. Is it's
I'll remember.
Colorado.
No, let's not get started on his soft A's. Is that what those are?
Are you trying to
Colorado?
tell me right now that it's Colorado?
I've been saying Colorado literally the entire time you've known me. How many shows have I said the word Colorado and you haven't said anything? You know why?
Colorado.
Because it's deep in your subconscious that you know I'm right.
No, I think it's just deep in my subconscious that, like, there's no saving him. Don't worry about him.
I thought you were going to say it's deep in my subconscious that whenever you hear my voice, you just tune out.
Eric says Wagyu isn't regional, it's international.
Henry, are you from Europe?
I can
Europe?
guarantee you that.
Wait, did you
I hated
mean to
that.
say that in that way? Oh, Brendan Vogt also says tournament.
No.
Tournament.
My
Tournament?
family
Yeah.
says toilet.
What?
For in exchange for what word?
Toilet.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait.
My dad
Say it the wrong way again.
I'm just
Toilet.
glad
My
you're
dad
admitting that
says,
you
like,
have
I'll
no
go-
credibility about how
No,
anything is said.
like
Toilet.
my dad, or like toilet, like wash.
Please stop.
Does he think that the I's an R? Like, is he just always misreading it?
I don't know.
Someone was screwing
Maybe
with him when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, that letter right there, that's an R.
No, I think it's because it's that deep, juicy Cincinnati accent.
Okay, let's move on.
There's nothing juicy about Cincinnati.
Except the chili.
Do we have any questions, Allie?
You even said that weird.
Chili?
You said like chili.
Chili.
Okay,
Ugh.
that's a country.
Oh my god.
Also, it's not a chili.
It's Chile.
just a meat sauce.
Yeah, but when you put it on pasta, then it's chili.
All right,
Why?
the one.
that was
Okay,
a terrible argument.
let's move
Yeah.
on to the Buffs.
Please.
The one question
this is
we
so
have.
much better than talking about the Buffs, though.
It's so much easier to digest.
Yes.
All right,
Well, that chili, I don't know about digesting it.
Oh my goodness. I'm actually gonna, Henry, you made me want to quit last game. Now I'm gonna miss you guys.
Thank you. We're going to miss you
I'm gonna
too,
miss
Allie.
us too.
What are we
This
even
is-
going to do after this?
Ryan, now I'm not going to. Okay.
I'm gonna go home and look at the tournament shirts that I bought and just cry for a bit.
Oh goodness.
You going to wear them?
I mean, yeah, I'm a slut for a tournament shirt. I used to buy all the Bearcat ones back when the Bearcats were good, but
Shout out Kenyon
Okay,
Martin. Were you
we
even old
have
enough for the
a
Kenyon Martin era?
question.
Yeah,
was like
question.
Let's
97,
do the
wasn't it?
I
question.
don't know.
You guys have touched about this on multiple post-game pods before, but with it being the last game of the season, what will the future hold for McKinley Wright?
the NBA.
He's
Immediately?
certainly going to get a chance.
Yeah.
Certainly
Yes.
going to get a chance. Whether that is as a draft pick, as a summer league invitee, at some level he will get an opportunity. No one could believe in McKinley Wright more than I do to make the most of that opportunity. Unfortunately, the NBA is made up of human monsters.
I mean, we saw Florida State tonight.
Florida State would be like tiny in the NBA.
A very small team.
So it's going to be really difficult for him.
It could work out. You know, there's a chance that when he goes up against that size, that quick first step just pops, and he's able to build something off of that. But the odds are certainly stacked against him. Although he will certainly be playing basketball
There
for
are
the next
players
decade.
as small as McKinley Wright who have succeeded in the NBA before. Facu is
Facu.
doing it for the Nuggets right now.
Of course,
Earl
Eric is
Boykins
ready to say
before
that.
him, much smaller than McKinley Wright. So you can succeed as a small guy in the NBA. He's going to have to add a bunch of different things to his game, namely a three-point shot, if he's going to really stick. But again, I believe in McKinley Wright as much as he possibly could, regardless of how it works out in the NBA. McKinley Wright will be playing professional NBA basketball as long as not NBA, professional basketball as long as he wants to.
Yep.
And that could be a very long time, and he'll make a great living doing it. And whatever team he plays for, whether it's the Nuggets or Barcelona, the fans are going to adore him, and they're going to be lucky to have him.
And he's never going to buy a drink in Boulder. At least I hope.
He's
I
not
hope
going
that's-
to buy a drink in Boulder.
That
He
is
doesn't
very true.
strike me as much of a drinker.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. I've never thought about this
strikes
before,
me
but
as
initially,
like Xbox, like playing,
I was
like McKinnon,
yeah.
like Fortnite, all that stuff.
Doesn't strike me as that either.
Who knows?
I wonder what he's into.
By the way, USC putting a hurt on Kansas right now.
Sure are.
Look, it's
my
tough.
all my back the pack feels have kind of gone away.
Yeah, no.
Now
it-
I'm back
it
to like
hurts.
screw all these guys.
It hurts to see USC and Oregon State and UCLA
The whole
move
damn
on to the Sweet
conference is
16.
going to be there.
But I will say this. It makes Colorado's season all that more impressive
Yes.
to know what they've done. USC right now is up 20 points on Kansas. This is a USC team Colorado swept 3-0. So there is that to be said, and it's really going to increase the clout for this conference to get even just the three teams that they have, regardless of if USC can finish this out. That is so huge for this team's standing as far as national media goes because nobody bought into this conference before this tournament.
Yeah. Also, the Pac-12 can send at the very least a thank you note to Colorado, because by losing to Oregon State in the title game, they have made the conference already north of $6 million.
That's crazy.
Yes.
It is so crazy.
Very
McKinley
crazy.
Wright has put out a statement. Do you guys want to read that?
Oh, God. Yeah, put
This
it
is
up.
my favorite. Writing
Ryan,
the notes out.
how about you read it?
All right, yeah. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Not really.
No?
Hold on. I
You
can.
get like a command plus?
No, Command Plus just zooms in the back.
No.
Just do it really. No, just kidding.
Do it really fast.
All right, I got
Trick
this.
the computer.
It says, damn, man, Colorado, I just want to say thank you. The best 4 years of my life have been spent here. Y'all welcomed a skinny 6-foot point guard from Minneapolis with open arms. I'm so thankful for my brothers that I've come across during my time spent here. Y'all made this home for me. I'm scooting forward.
No
To
one
the
can
point
see you,
where
sorry.
I rarely went back home to Minnesota so I could stay out of any trouble. I gave you guys everything I had for 4 years, and I'll miss this university. I'm excited for what the future holds, but heartbroken that I'll never get to play a game for y'all again. I've created lifelong memories with my dogs and made some best friends here. I love y'all for life. 25 out.
With some pictures.
Oh, Ken.
So,
We love you.
the
What,
question remains. Will McKinley Wright be returning for a fifth season in the Colorado Buffaloes uniform?
You know, no.
I think that does seal the deal. if anyone was holding out hope.
I will say, like, the chances of a miracle in which he decides he wants, like, he can't sleep tonight and decides he wants to come back and play again went up like 1% tonight.
Yeah.
But no, he's not coming back.
Aw.
And that's okay. He has accomplished so much here.
And
Yeah.
for the podcast listeners, we are watching a video that he retweeted, that Bleacher Report tweeted out, of just him leaving it all out on the court in tears, hugging Tad, saying I'm sorry, and then hugging teammates and other coaches just in tears. Ugh.
Here's a question. If I were to offer you guys plus 2,000 odds on McKinley Wright to ever be Colorado's head coach, would you
Oh.
take that bet?
Ooh.
I gotta
Plus
know.
2,000.
Can I ask you some questions?
Yes.
Has he ever talked about having like a passion for coaching or anything like that?
I mean, I feel like it'd be tough to develop a passion having never done it, but I can't think of a time he said that he wants to be.
Well, because like I bet if you asked Evan Batty, he would say like, "Oh, I'd like love to be
No,
a
I think
coach
there was
one day."
reports that came out. Remember, like Evan Batty talked about wanting to come back and be a coach, and McKinley was like, "Oh, you're gonna have to fight me about it."
That's right. I forgot about
This
that.
was last year.
Great
I
pull,
believe.
Allie.
Yeah.
Give me the plus 2,000. Cash it in before the book changes the odds.
Yeah, I don't remember why Batty, like what Batty was asked, but Batty was like, I would love to come back here and coach. And McKinley was like,
Can you
you're going to have to
imagine?
fight me
I
because
hope
I want
McKinley-
that
I-
spot.
I hope McKinley Wright doesn't come back as a coach.
Why?
It's a fair point. No, it's
Because
a really fair
look
point.
Look at what
It just happens everywhere.
what John Elway. Look at what happened to John Elway when he returned to the Broncos. And look,
Or Patrick
gotta-
Ewing in
got-
Georgetown.
or Patrick Ewing in Georgetown. I think it just opens the door to
Muddy the legacy.
exactly
Patrick
And
Waugh
so
and the Avs.
For
But-
McKinley Wright, look.
But I mean,
just,
but then you can look at Joe Sakic right now.
I was
with
going to say
the
there are
Avs.
opportunities to further the
positives.
legacy, but it goes back to Spider-Man, right?
Of
You
course.
either die a hero or live long enough to become a
100%.
villain.
is that
I
Spider-Man?
thought, I trust Ben on this one.
Definitely not Spider-Man.
That's
Are you
the Dark
sure?
Knight.
No, but I'm not a Spider-Man guy. I like Captain America.
Isn't that
I can look it
Harvey,
up.
I'm pretty
Harvey
sure this
Dent?
was the uncle in Spider-Man.
No, that was not what he said.
That sounds like a.
He
that
said
sounds
with
like a
great
Superman
responsibility.
quote.
No, with great power comes great responsibility. That's Uncle Ben.
That is
Harvey
definitely.
Dent.
Oh, it
Harvey
is.
God.
Dent. I told this guy.
This dude over here
okay, I don't know.
is trying to quote Batman and brings Spider-Man and brings up
Spider-Man and
Batman.
Batman are basically the
No,
same.
Spider-Man would
one-
never say that.
Okay,
Spider-Man
to
was
his
never
defense,
true.
Ryan just doesn't follow any of that and just is just that way.
I mean, either way,
Ridiculous.
it doesn't matter who said it.
I don't know if I trust Batman. That guy's a little shady.
Ooh, we got Andrew Mason here in the comments.
Wow.
He's
I put Harriet Tubman on McKinley Wright being the Buffs version of Juwan Howard someday.
What's a
Let's
Harriet
do it.
Tubman?
That's
That
$100
is a-
bill now. No, it's a $20 bill now.
20?
It's a new thing. No, they changed it.
I'm putting 1,000.
Also, he was a president?
Who's that? Gonna put a
not.
kid on it?
Wait.
Stop.
No. I was speaking. You either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain. I'm actually with Ben on this. Just don't coach your alma mater.
Oh, wow. I was very wrong.
Take a risk here or there.
I'm just going to
You know
retract
what?
what I said.
I like it.
Stop it, Nighthawk. I made a mistake. I'm sad. It's been emotional.
No,
Continue, Ryan.
don't stop. You can be mean to her.
I forgot what I was saying. Anyways, I want a coaching staff of McKinley Wright and Evan Batty,
I
because that
confused
would be amazing. But Ben makes a good point.
Assistant coach is never a bad thing.
No,
It's very
look at
wrong
me.
for you. You rarely hear about an assistant coach coming back and things getting ugly.
Evan Batty would fit that role so perfectly.
Oh yeah.
Just like the a quality control coach, on the sideline. I think that would be fantastic because Evan Batty, you can just see him living in Boulder forever and living and growing with this program. But McKinley Wright, I don't see it. I think he's going to go in the pros for 10, 15 years, make his money. And honestly, I think McKinley Wright, I could see an analyst role for him. I mean, he just knows so much about the game of basketball.
I know.
And
you should
so
really put that to
obviously-
use.
Obviously, that would work as a coach, but
He's
also...
not much of like a talker though.
Yeah. I mean, also, I totally agree he's playing basketball for the next 15 years. So what is a 37-year-old McKinley Wright, Like
I
maybe
feel
at that
I
point
can
he's a
really-
talker.
I feel like I can really picture what old McKinley Wright looks like.
We have another question when you guys are ready for
I think
it.
I'd like him.
He has like a gray beard.
Yeah, he does.
All right, other question. First, Nighthawk says, are y'all going for Bama or Pac-12 loyalties as Alabama is now playing UCLA in the Sweet 16?
Oh, I mean, why would we be going for Alabama?
Yeah,
Never.
only because of Nighthawk. And so the answer is we are not
No,
going for
UCLA.
Alabama.
I actually have Alabama in my Final Four in
Yeah.
my bracket, and I'm still
I
cheering
know.
against them.
Me
I've been
too.
a big Alabama fan all year, but yeah, UCLA.
Okay, Luke
Sorry.
here.
Just for the money. I mean,
Luke here asking, with the incoming recruiting class and possible grad transfer, what should our expectations be for next season?
That's a really good question. I mean,
5 seed finish in the conference, and you hope that you end up as a double-digit seed in the tournament. I think that's a realistic expectation. I mean, you are losing a lot with McKinley Wright, and I think it is fair to expect to have some early season lumps. That's going to be tough to come back from a final standing perspective.
that's fair. I also think, we could start any position. I mean, at point guard, what is Keyshawn next year? I think if he's good, then you're good.
There's just way too many questions
Exactly.
to answer this question right now. I need to see them. I need to see what the final roster is going to look like. Is Jariah Horn coming back? Sure didn't seem like it with him, shedding tears on the floor with McKinley Wright after the game. But maybe just doing that to be a homie. Do they add a transfer guard? How good is the transfer guard? Are they able to, there's just way too many questions. I think it's unfair right now to set the expectation at making the
True.
NCAA tournament after you just lost one of the best players in conference history and in program history.
Yep.
I totally understand that, but I think this team's floor should be it should be a tournament berth. So while you do lose McKinley Wright,
Their floor should be a tournament berth.
I think that should be look, that's the bar for success in a season, right? Are you good enough to make the tournament?
Yes.
And so I think you're now 3 straight seasons, with 20 plus wins. They would be 2 straight seasons with the NCAA tournament appearance. I concur. Losing McKinley Wright is on the same level as Iowa losing Luka Garza. I mean, you were losing a huge part of not just your rotation, not just your box score, but of your program. But I do think there are still enough pieces in place today as far as what that recruiting class is going to be. And also, next year's front court could be better than this year's front court. So you do that, and I also completely agree. It's such a tough question to answer because if they go out there and get a decent transfer, or if they go out there and land Marcus Carr from Minnesota, well, then hell, this team's expectation is you should probably win the conference. So it's tough to say right now, but I guess if you're the difference between I guess expectation and goal for me is money.
Yeah.
Your goal should be
Always.
make the tournament and probably 5 seed would be a realistic goal for you. I don't think they're getting another bye.
I think the expectation should just always be to finish in the top half of the conference. You never want to set your expectations any lower than that. But I think honestly the fair expectation is, or at least the goal every year should be top 4 finish in the conference and a tournament berth. But again, I just think it would be unrealistic to sit here right now knowing that they're not going to have McKinley Wright. They're going to have to replace that production, that leadership, that just presence on the court that he brought night in, night out. It would be unfair, in my opinion, to say that they should make the tournament next year.
Yep, that's where I'm at too. I think that there's a lot of ways that you can get yourself excited about next year's team, but the truth is it's the end of an era, and there aren't really like rebuilds in college sports like there are in pro sports where you're just like, well, we're done, time to trade everybody away, get better picks. That's just not a thing that exists. The way it works in college is you have a couple of really good recruiting classes, say one on campus now, you've got another one on the way. Things are going to be really good for Colorado 2-3 years from now. I'm confident in that. What exactly happens next year, I'm not so sure, but I do think that a reasonable expectation is to finish top half, and a good goal is to make the NCAA tournament.
Yep. And if you make the NIT, that's okay too. It's going to be a really young team. Heck, you could have a couple freshmen come in and be impact players right away, and then all of a sudden maybe your expectation does become making the tournament. But you're just not going to have that guy who you look to and say, like, he's got us. He's got us, Like, unfortunately, we weren't able to do that tonight, which is kind of makes it extra sad that it ended that way. But on most nights, you could say, Kin's got us. And that, it's going to take a long time for someone to develop into the player that you can look at and say that.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't Lucas Seward and Shane Gatlin.
Right.
Moving on. I mean, this is...
Kind of forgot about Shane Gatling. I liked his game.
Yeah.
He's fun. He always had really fun warm-ups. He'd always do some stupid dunks.
I like talking to him about his shoes. he always had good shoes.
Anyways.
That was a fun team last year.
It was.
Until the end.
Right. We don't
Things
talk
got
about that, though.
really unfun at the end.
But what happened before that? A nice NIT run. Really set up that season. So, yeah, I completely agree. An NIT berth next year could give you a chance to build some
NIT
momentum.
berths for young teams are super valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think, too, what your goals are. Do we have any more
Just
questions,
in
Allie?
life?
No, we don't have any more questions. So I guess that's the end of the show.
Just
Not a
tell
lot
us
of
what your
time
career
to send those
aspirations
in.
are.
Shout out to the Colorado women's basketball team, who also had a great season. They unfortunately lost tonight as well,
But they beat Nebraska.
but they beat Nebraska. So
Just a bad day.
hopefully,
Time to drink a beer, then go home.
hopefully
and
the
then,
Avs at least
over tomorrow.
one team wins something.
Yep.
Some of my classes have already been called for tomorrow on
Wow.
an individual basis. So
Crazy.
I may be
man.
joining you all in the...
Well,
evening.
speaking of, if there's any students who are listening, obviously all the things that happened today just leave an impact on you, and there's great resources available that CU offers, some that are free. Definitely talk to anyone if you need to.
Reach out to us.
Yeah.
Too. We're all
And-
accessible on Twitter if you ever need a thing.
Absolutely.
And one of the numbers is for a program called CAPS. It's 303-492-2277. And then there's a bunch of other programs. But please, we're all here for each other. This was a really rough day in our community. So like Ben said, feel free to reach out and just use those resources always.
It will be a long time before we do another DNVR Buffs postgame, and that makes me sad.
Me too.
It does. It makes me
Do you
sad,
know-
too.
You know what, though? We've done an hour of this. Let's get excited. Do you guys realize the next time we're going to do a Buffs postgame show, there's a reasonable expectation, knock on wood, that we'll be back in Folsom.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how to make that work.
Yes, we are.
It's gonna be a crapshoot.
I think Ryan will be unavailable as he will be
Well,
in the stadium.
I've come on here drunk enough.
It's true. It's true.
I am a young alumni season ticket holder as well.
Oh,
But I still have a very small, or actually, I'll put it this way.
small what?
I have a very large closet that I live in Boulder. So we could maybe set something up there.
There we go.
We turned your entire apartment into a studio.
Well, I did buy daytime light bulbs, so we wouldn't even need lights.
What are
We have
daytime
a
light bulbs?
Super chat from Scott. Thank you, Scott.
Oh,
Shout
thank
out.
God.
Thanks, God.
Thank God he wasn't making us drink or anything. it was
I would love if
just
someone made me drink right
We do have Peter saying the flabongo. I don't know how long it will be until we can do a flabongo.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone, BYOF. Bring
Your own
flabongo.
flabongo. We should end the pod
should
with
that be a reasonable expectation, though, is we try and do our goal to get us to this offseason is a DNVR Buffs tailgate. First home game, Folsom Field. Do you think we
Of
can
course.
swing that?
Of course.
Oh yeah, the tailgate
We'll make it happen.
will be lit.
And we'll just do a bling your own
Bling it
Bling
out.
your
Bling your
own
flabongo.
Okay.
There's some diamonds on that
Ben
flabongo.
can set up his little bling your own flabongo stand.
Peter,
Maybe we'll have a small
little
business by that
bedazzled
time
gun.
where I'll just be bedazzling flabongos.
You can go
Peter
pick up.
makes
Some tailgates have like a build your own Bloody Mary.
bling your own.
I want Ben running some arts and crafts.
Peter made a good point. Has Ben even ever done a flabongo?
I
He
doubt
has
it.
not.
I have done one.
No.
Yes, we back home. My friend's family had a little cabin.
But it
Usually
doesn't
when
count.
one of Ben's stories starts with back home, it's not true.
It is. We had a little cabin back home in Kentucky, and we would drive to it every summer. And we did have a flabongo for the last one. We went through like 200 beers in like a 4-day weekend. It was pretty impressive. But there were natter days, so it's like on a different level.
Oh, Ryan did
Natter
hit up
days
those natter
and
days.
flabongos. Literally a match made in heaven.
See, thank you. Okay, see, we can
We
agree on
tweeted out a
this.
video of it.
I'm pretty sure there's flamingos on the can.
Yeah, I think there is. Then he said, "Has Hank?" I think we made Hank.
Hank
do
has
it.
done a flabongo.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Not many though, because
Not
I usually
before,
have to go cover
yeah,
the game.
he has to go to work. So
Yeah.
I think it was at another point.
Actually, I think that the Nebraska game
we
was
made
actually
a
when
lot
I
of
met
people do a lot of
Ryan and
flabongos.
Allie, and Henry
That's
was
right.
over there. And he took a shot, and he looks at me, and he's like, "The key is no more than 2. You'll be sober and good for the post game." And then he walked off into the night, and I was like, "Oh, is this like? Should I be taking
Life
notes?"
lessons from
That was like
Henry.
right before
I
he
know.
brought me on as an intern. I was like, he's just giving me all this knowledge.
And that was a lesson that I learned from a reporter when I was at the University of Montana, when I was told, like, hey, what you do before the games is go around all the parents' tailgates and then take a couple shots with them, but no more than 2. That's how stuff works. Now, Ben,
Loosen
you're
you
going to
up,
have to tell
get you a
somebody.
little feisty on Twitter.
Yeah.
yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe by then I'll have my my Russian nesting dolls done too.
Doubt it.
Hopefully.
Do you have a saw?
Do you
do you
need
have
a
a-
saw for that?
I mean, you've got to cut the wood, right?
Couldn't you just buy pre-made?
Well, pre-made nesting dolls that you paint yourself? Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying?
Peter says he wants
then you can make
Eric to
him whatever.
do a flabongo. He thinks that he can handle that better than any shot of literally anything else. And I don't know. I don't know what it would be like for
That would
Eric
be
to do a
fun
flabongo.
to bring Eric to the Mecca.
Yes, it would.
It would.
Just get him to just completely leave all CSU.
We just need. I want like all DNVR people to come to a game.
It'd be amazing.
There are a bunch. Yes, that needs to happen.
Anyways,
I
next
realized-
season,
That it's the greatest venue in college sports.
It is.
Maybe all sports.
We
It's
love
up there.
Folsom Field. Hopefully, we'll be back there.
The Coliseum. Not
Something
the
to look
USC. I was thinking like the
forward to.
Roman.
The
There's lots
Roman
to look forward to.
Roman Coliseum, Folsom Field.
Like if you were to see a sporting event, like I feel like that's
No,
where you
but-
gotta go.
See, but the problem is
I don't know what they do there
What
now.
one of the
sports
best parts
do they play
about-
there?
Well,
One
they used
of
to
the
kill
best
people
parts
and
about
stuff.
Folsom is the bathrooms, and I don't think they have troughs in the Roman Coliseum.
If you're missing the trough atmosphere from Folsom, DNVR Bar has a trough.
Love a good trough.
Okay, I think we've.
That's what makes a great
I think
sports
we've moved to
Yes.
a point of the show where we can end.
bar. All right.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
trough
as always, I feel better.
I feel
too.
better too. I feel better.
I hope you guys feel better.
Yes.
Me too.
But
What
if
a
not-
season.
I feel better. So
So selfishly,
Awesome,
we're
Ryan.
still okay.
Really great.
You guys can
really
all
great
sleep
for
well
you.
tonight, knowing that Ryan feels better.
just a little bit, but
That Ryan feels
Tangible.
just a little bit better.
it's
The
tangible.
important thing is we've got stuff to look forward to, and just
Yes.
because it's now the off season of damn near most sports. Henry, what happens in? Let me check my calendar here. Just a few short days. Is there something on the horizon?
What makes the days so short?
Sun.
Smart guy. Monday is the start of spring football. And then what? We'll be like a month away from
We
the
had
spring
the
game?
Did you get to
Buffs
watch
Pro
any?
Day today.
No. We don't know for sure on the spring game, I don't think. I haven't looked that far ahead on like the media cheat sheet, but no, we won't be up in Boulder for any of it until that point at the earliest.
Sucks.
Elliot says he feels better. Go Buffs.
Well, I'm glad you feel better too, Elliot.
He also says thank you for everything.
You're welcome, Elliot.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank
no, thank
you
you,
for
Elliot.
everyone watching and
Can't
supporting
believe
us.
USC is just gonna blow out Kansas.
We need to stop with that. We're going to end the show.
Bye.
That's the end. Good season, everybody. We'll be back soon.
Go Buffs.
Yes.
Go
Bye.
Buffs.